All right, guys and girls, objective is to apply the zero product property to GCF problems. The same announcement from yesterday, your tests from Friday are in the grade book. The graded assignment is also in the grade book. So if you guys haven't checked recently, check your grades, please. Make sure your math notebook is on your desk. Make sure you have today's date in it, which is 11/11/14. Mr. Warnock's class, you will be watching this on 11/12/14, so put that date in your notebook, please. Also, everyone should have your yellow charts on your desk. My class, we left off with number 4. Mr. Warnock's class, I believe you're on number 3. If I'm wrong, start with whatever number you guys are on. Okay, so when everyone in your notebook, write down number 4. 3x squared equals 18x. Okay, my first question for you is, after you write it down, how many solutions will this problem have? How many solutions will this problem have, Andrew? Good. How do you know 2? Good. The highest exponent is 2, so it's going to have 2 solutions. What property are we using that we talked about yesterday? What property are we using that we talked about yesterday? In Mr. Warnock's class, you guys can answer this too. Abby? Good. We're changing an addition or subtraction problem, whatever it might be, to a multiplication problem. So that's the definition of factoring. Changing an addition or subtraction problem to a multiplication problem. What other property did we talk about yesterday? Amantha? Very good. We talked about the zero product property. What does the zero product property tell us? What does the zero product property tell us? And it could just be in your own words. You know product means multiply. Amantha? Very good. If A times B equals 0, then A equals 0, B equals 0, or both A and B equals 0. Okay, so we talked about factoring yesterday. We talked about the zero product property. Both are extremely important for your success on the Keystone as well as your future math classes. Okay, on the yellow paper, okay, you guys are looking at where it says 2 solutions. It then tells you make the equation equal to 0. How do we make this equation equal to 0? Emma. Good. To make this equal to 0, we are minusing 18x on both sides. Okay, that is the first step. Get it equal to 0. What does the next step look like? What does the next step look like, Cole? Good. 3x squared minus 18x equals 0. Okay, you have to get it equal to 0. The yellow paper then asks us, is there a GCF? Okay, so looking up there, is there a greatest common factor? What do you guys think? Amantha, is there one? Good. There is a greatest common factor. So I want you to take a minute, write on your paper what you think the greatest common factor is, and then stop. So if you haven't already done this, write on your paper what you think the greatest common factor is, number and variable. It has to be a number that evenly divides into both of them. You can't do 3 divided by 18. Remember, it's the biggest number that evenly divides into both of them. That's not right. Good. I just want to see your GCF. Did you say number 7? Good. Yeah, that's okay, as long as you know what you're doing. All right. Chris, what is the GCF? Good. The greatest common factor here is 3 and x. The biggest number that evenly divides into both of these is 3. The biggest amount of x's you can divide from both of them is 1x. Or you can say the most amount of x's that you can take from each term is 1x. So you guys in this room, questions for me on why this is the greatest common factor? Okay, I'll just say this one more time just in case. The biggest number that evenly divides into both of those is 3, and the most amount of x's you can take from each term is 1x. Open up parentheses, draw two lines. So yesterday afternoon, I saw some issues with this part. So let me just go slowly through this to make sure that we're all on the same page. To get what goes on this first line, you should be taking 3x squared divided by 3x. Okay? That's your GCF because they divide evenly. You couldn't take something like 3 divided by 18 or 3 divided by 6. You won't get a nice number. So Brad, what's 3 divided by 3? Good. Amantha, what's x squared divided by x? Good. Another way to think of that is there's two x's here. We took one. You're left with 1. So 1x or just x is okay for this first part. Okay, Melina, what goes here? Negative 18 divided by 3 is minus 6. There's an x here, but we're dividing it by another x, so the x's are gone. You could also think of this as x divided by x is no x. This is the factored answers. Remember I told you guys yesterday, if the directions said to factor, what I just highlighted is factored, okay? The directions, though, that we were using yesterday told us to solve, okay? So we have to keep solving. At this point, though, if you wanted to check to make sure that you were right, what could you do here to check and make sure you didn't mess up? Amantha, what could you do? Good. You could distribute 3x to each of those to make sure that it's equivalent to the previous problem. All right, Bo, what's the next step to solve? Very good. Turn it into two different problems. So 3x equals 0 is one of them. 1x minus 6 equals 0 is the other one. And again, if that 1 is not in front of x, that's okay. You don't have to have it there. So split it up into two separate problems. Now we have to solve. Ashley, how do we solve this side? Good. Divide both sides by 3 on this side. Allison, what do we get? Good job. So 0 divided by 3 is 0, so we get x equals 0. Katie, what do we do first to solve this side? Good. Add 6 to both sides. We get 1x equals 6. Carmi, how do we get rid of the 1? Good. Divide both sides by 1. You get x equals positive 6. You get two answers. I told you guys yesterday these are the solutions. They are also called the x-intercepts of a parabola, but you don't have to know that. But that's the application for this. So 0 and 6. Those of you that went ahead of me, raise your hand if you had that. Good. Okay. Questions on that one? Abby, question? Okay. Justin. What do you mean? You mean while I'm doing this? It's okay. I'll stop saying your name if that happens. All right. Any other, or I can edit the video, Dustin. Anyone else on 4? All right, let's go to, not that one. Okay, we're going to do number 5, but not this one. You guys are ready for a little bit harder. Okay, number 5. All right, let's go with x squared plus 3x equals 0. X squared plus 3x equals 0. All right, what's different about this one? What's different, Landon? Good, it's already equal to 0. Does that make it easier or harder for us? Amantha? It should be easier. Now, maybe there's not a right answer to that. It should be easier because you don't have to move anything. So if you don't have to move anything, where do we start on that problem? Where do we start? Dustin? Yeah, we start with finding the GCF because the yellow paper tells us if there's two solutions, make sure it's equal to 0 first. Well, a lot of them will already be equal to 0, like this one, so you don't have to move anything to the other side. So it should make it a little bit easier. It just looks different. I want you guys to put a 1 in front of that x squared. If there's not a number there, there's really a 1. So like Dustin said, we are now looking for the GCF. What is the greatest common factor on that problem? I need the number and the variable. So raise your hand when you think you know the GCF for this problem. Nolan, what do you think? How did you know it's 1? Very good. The largest number that evenly divides into 1 and 3 is 1. I did not do a problem with you guys like this yet, and I don't think Mr. Warnock did either. The largest number that evenly goes into both is 1. The most amount of variables that you can take from each is 1x. So that is your greatest common factor. Open up your parentheses, make 2 lines inside the parentheses. Is everyone clear on why it's 1x? So now what we need to do is take this divided by this divided by this. Brad, what's 1x squared divided by 1x? Good. 1x, because 1 divided by 1 is 1. There's 2 x's here. We took 1. You're left with 1, which you could also say x squared divided by x is just x. All right, the second part here. Melina, what's positive 3x divided by 1x? Good. Positive 3. 3 divided by 1 is 3. X divided by x is no x, because they wipe each other out. They're gone. You are factored completely. This is the factored part, but we now have to solve. Andrew, what do we do here now to solve? Split them up. You have 1x equals 0. Put a line down the middle. 1x plus 3 equals 0. Next step. Amantha. Okay, Amantha, how do we solve this one? Good. Divide both sides by 1. 0 divided by 1 is 0. So we get x equals 0 on this side. Cole, what do we do first to solve this one? Good. Minus 3 on both sides. You get 1x equals negative 3. Elena, how do we get rid of this 1? Good. Divide both sides by 1. So x equals negative 3. Your 2 answers are 0 and negative 3. Remember, this applies the zero product property, which says one or both answers have to be 0, because something times something is 0. One of these, and I'm referring to these when I say that, one of those has to be 0 or both for this product to be 0. Questions on 5? Okay. All right, next one, number 6. I want to do 2 or 3 more with you guys. Number 6, 18x squared minus 9x equals 0. Okay, it's already equal to 0. Does that make it easier or harder for you? Easier, right? You don't have to move anything over. Because remember on the yellow paper, if there's 2 solutions, it tells you it has to be equal to 0. Okay, so we go right to the step of what is the greatest common factor. Raise your hand once you know what the greatest common factor is. Molly, what do you think? Good, 9. And then how many x's can you take from each? Say that again. Good. Here, Justin. So 9x is the GCF. You're welcome. 9 and x is the most amount that you can divide from each term. Okay, it's the greatest factor that evenly divides into each of the previous terms. So 9x is your GCF. We now need to find inside parentheses what we're left with. So you're taking 18 squared divided by 9x. What goes here? So what goes here? So, good. 18 divided by 9 is 2. X squared divided by x is x. There's 2 x's here. You took 1. You're left with 1. Okay? Cole, what goes here? Good. Negative 9 divided by 9 is negative 1. X divided by x is nothing. They wipe each other out. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. How'd you do on this part? Just to make sure I'm not going too fast. Thank you. Andrew, did you forget this was? Okay. All right, next step. We're now factored. Chili, what's the next step? So how do we find the solutions? You're correct. Very good. So split them up into two different problems. Take each of the expressions you see, set them equal to 0. Dustin, how do we get rid of the 9 over here? Good. Divide both sides by 9. 0 divided by 9 is 0. So we get x equals 0 on this one. Amantha, what do we do first to solve this one? Good. Add 1 to both sides. You get 2x equals positive 1. Ashley, how do we get rid of the 2? Good. Divide by 2. What's different about this answer? What's different, Amantha? Yeah. The answer is going to stay as 1/2. Even though we know 1/2 is 0.5, keep your answer as a simplified fraction. It's not always going to work out as a nice answer, especially when you see these kind of problems on the keystone. Okay? We got 2 answers, 0 and 1/2. Questions on that one? Amantha? I mean, I wouldn't, if you put 0.5, I wouldn't mark it wrong, but I prefer that it's a simplified fraction. And if the next test we have in here is multiple choice, the answers will be fractions, not decimals. All right, number 7. Negative 24x squared equals 9x. All right, before we start this one, don't go ahead of me, and this goes for both classrooms. But can someone tell us where we need to start? Where do we need to start, Abby H? Good. We need to get everything to one side. You have to get it equal to 0. Minus 9x on both sides. Move that over. Remember, these are not like terms, so you have negative 24x squared minus 9x equals 0. Do not go ahead of me because you guys, I don't think, know what to do with this part. What's different? What's different? Chris? Oh, good. That's actually, there's 2 differences. Good. The 9 does not go into 24. So there's one difference, which I was not thinking of. What I was thinking of is, Abby H? Good. The first term is negative. Now, I should have realized there were 2 differences there, because those are 2 things that you guys haven't seen yet. When it's in standard form, which it is right now, and that first term is negative, your GCF must be negative. Okay, so if you need to make a little side note in your notebook for you, go ahead. I'm not going to write it on the board. When it's in standard form, if that first term is negative, your GCF has to be negative. You could even star the problem if you want. So you remember that this is the time when your GCF will be negative. I then want you to think about, if the GCF has to be negative, what is the greatest common factor of this problem? Because, yeah, this is also the first time that it's not a number that's up there. Bo, what do you think? Good. Negative 3x is our greatest common factor. 3 is the biggest number that evenly divides into 24 and 9. And then it has to be negative because the first term is negative. Now, here's the tricky part. Open up your parentheses. Make 2 lines. Be careful with the negatives here, because if you mess up on one little negative, it's going to throw off your whole answer. What is negative 24x squared divided by negative 3x? Andrew? Positive 8x. Negative 24 divided by negative 3 is positive 8. X squared divided by x is x. Amantha, what is negative 9x divided by negative 3x? Positive 3. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3. X divided by x is no x. They wipe each other out. Okay, it's kind of like saying there was an x, but we took it. X's are gone. Okay, that is the factored form. Remember, the GCF is negative if the first term is negative. We are now ready to solve. So we are taking each term, we are separating them, we're setting them equal to 0. Landon, how do we get x by itself over here? Divide both sides by -3. So we get x equals 0. Nolan, what's the first thing we have to do to solve this side? What's the opposite of positive? So -3 on both sides. You get 8x equals -3. Amantha, how do we get rid of the 8? Good. Divide by 8. So Richmond, what's the answer as a simplified fraction? Good. If you take your calculator, type in -3 divided by 8, math, enter, enter, it will keep it as -3/8. That's as simple as that gets. So GCF could be negative sometimes, and your GCF is not always going to be the number that appears in the problem. Questions on that one? Okay, let me have you guys try one on your own, and then we're going to start the assignment. Number 8, -36x squared plus 48x equals 0. All right, so Mr. Warnock's room, you guys are doing the same thing. Go ahead and do this problem. Give you guys a couple minutes. My room, I'm going to walk around and check it, and then I will go over it quickly to make sure you guys have every step right, and then I'm going to give you some time to start your assignment. Very good. Now remember, this is already equal to 0. The first term is negative. What are you doing, Brad? Come on, you should keep working on this. Okay? You're done. Easy. Perfect. Very good. That should be negative. If the first term's negative, this is negative. Okay? So then fix that to positive. Wait, no. Not -6. It'll be negative. There's a number bigger than 6 that evenly goes into both of them. So keep dividing. The negative is what I was really looking for. There's a bigger number, bigger than 6 that goes into them. Yeah, but you just said fix it. That's all right. That's why I wanted to practice. Nice job. Give yourself a star. You're close. (48) divided by -12 is -4, so it should be a -4. The first term is negative, so your GCF should be negative. Okay. There's a bigger number. It's bigger than 6. Bigger. There's a number bigger than 6 that evenly goes into both of them. Okay. What do you have? There's a number bigger than 4. It's not the GCF. Landon, what are you doing? Are you trying? Okay. There's a number bigger than that. All right, so just seeing some little things here. First term's negative. No, this should be negative. GCF, so that changes and that changes. Okay, so first thing, if the first term is negative, what is your GCF going to have in front of it? Abby H. Okay. Someone else answer that. If the first term is negative, Chili, the GCF is going to be what? Chili, we just answered it. the first term is negative, you're sleeping. The GCF is going to be negative. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time for everyone. If this first term is negative, the GCF is going to be negative. Okay, the greatest common factor is the biggest number that evenly divides into both of those. So what is the biggest number that evenly divides into both? Richmond. Good. Negative 12x is your GCF. The mistake I saw in a lot of your papers is that you put 6. Yes, 6 evenly goes into both, but it's not the biggest number that evenly goes into both. Okay, so our GCF is negative 12x. Open up your parentheses, keep it equal to 0. All right, what goes inside parentheses? Raise your hands when you know. Chris, what goes inside? Good. 3x minus 4 goes inside the parentheses. That is completely factored. Another thing I want to remind you of, you know you're correct if these numbers inside the parentheses have nothing in common. If these have nothing in common, then you know that you're good. We now need to solve. Take each of them, set them equal to 0, and we can solve for x now. So when you guys solved, you should have divided both sides by negative 12 here. You got x equals 0. On this side, Amantha, what do we move first? Good. Add 4 to both sides. You get 3x equals 4. Get rid of the 3. Divide both sides by 3. 4 over 3 cannot be simplified any further. So the fraction answer for this is 4/3. Questions on that one? I mean, thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down on all these types of problems. Okay, thank you. Take out your homework packet, which is that thick packet that I gave you guys a couple weeks ago. Mr. Warnock's room, you guys have it too. Take out your homework packet. Open up to page 16, please. Page 16. Homework packet is that thick packet. I'm pretty sure most of you guys, the cover is practice 9.1. That should be the first page. Okay. Page 16 looks like this, minus the writing that I have on mine. Oh. Okay. Yep, you can't really read the numbers, and no, I'm wrong. It's not 16 in your packet. Hold on a sec. I hope you guys have this in here. Mr. Warnock's room, hold on a sec. It should be 9.4. See if you guys find 9.4. Unless it's not in here, and I hope that's not the case. Oh, no. I don't think it's in here. Oh, man. All right, hold on. Let me change this since it's not in here. All right, that's annoying. Okay. Why is it not? No one found 9.4? All right. Take your notebook out. Okay, I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to have you write down, not all of them, but some of them, okay? Mr. Warnock's room, do the same thing, please. Take out your notebook or a piece of paper, okay, and I want you to title it Zero Product Property Homework. Okay. Number 1, and leave some space in between them. Number 1 is x squared minus 10x equals 0. Number 2, 5x squared minus 5x equals 0. Number 3, 24x squared equals negative 24x. Number 4, 8x squared equals 24x. Number 5, 6x squared minus 15x equals 0. Number 6, negative 8x squared equals 10x. Number 7, negative 10x squared equals negative 25x. 8, 8x squared minus 4x equals 0. 9, 30x squared equals negative 15x. 10, negative 24x squared minus 9x equals 0. Okay, go ahead and get started. I will be around to help you guys. My class, you guys have about 4 minutes. Mr. Warnock's class, you probably have more. So go ahead and get started. If you have a question, let me know. This is due tomorrow for both classes.